Hello, future teachers. Welcome to week 10 of CUIN 3312 Educational Technology. This is one of our asynchronous weeks, but because it's a little bit more tricky of an activity, this time we've created this great video for you to be able to follow along with and hopefully have a good time with this activity. So I am Mrs. Abear, and I am going to walk you through what we need to do. So first off, we're in our Blackboard shell. We're going to, as always, go to course content. And this week you should see module 3 is where we're starting. So emerging technologies, that's going to be our focus from now until the end of the semester. And we're going to be building towards that technology integration lesson where you will get to teach a lesson using technology in our final week of class. So we'll go ahead and open that module 3 folder. And at this point, you should only see the week 10 folder because that's where we are. So as always, we'll go to our handout, and this is our week 10 asynchronous handout to show you everything you need to do. So our objective for this week is to utilize elements of computational thinking to facilitate future learning. Now that computational thinking term should be somewhat familiar to you, even if you're not sure that you could define it right now, but that does tie in with our ISTE standards. So before class, as always, we have our list of items that you should complete. So a couple of articles, avoid these four EdTech mistakes in your classroom. You should still be working on your ePortfolio assignment that we went over earlier. And here's where we're going to really get into what we're doing today. There is this great video called How to Use MakeCode for Microbit. That's what we're going to be doing today. So if I open that link, it'll take you to this YouTube video.
One of these, a BBC.
And we're going to pause that. And I want you to pay attention. Only watch the part from 44 seconds in. So basically, we're asking you to skip the first 44 seconds of the video because you don't actually need to buy this little item. So if you skip ahead to about 44 seconds and then hit play.
All right, so to program our Microbit, we need to head over to the MakeCode editor. And to do
And this gentleman will walk you through how to use MakeCode for Microbit. It's a really great video. It's not too long. And again, you can stop the video at about 5.5 minutes in. You don't need to watch the full 7 minutes. But do make sure that if you have not watched that video already, that you go back and do so now. And then there are a couple other items: computational thinking through classroom assessment, common sense media for Microbit, and then choose one of these documents that most closely relates to your content area or a content area that you find interesting, and just look at the way that computational thinking can apply in teaching. That is our before class, hopefully you've done all of those things before you've even gotten to this video, because this video is going to go right here. So we're going to focus on Microbit Part 1, Talking with Computer. So your challenge is to use logic, variables, and the other necessary blocks to create a project that Microbit will randomly show you one of 3 answers, those 3 being yes, no, or try again. So we're making a variation on the Magic 8 Ball. So in order to do that, we need to go to Microbit. So if we just Google Microbit, you can see it comes right up. You'll go to Projects. And actually, that's not quite where I wanted to go. So let's go back real quick. And we're going to MakeCode. Should have paid more attention. So we're going to MakeCode, and that will bring up this page. It might ask you to log in first. I think I'm actually already logged in. So you can see there are tutorials, there are videos, there are games, all kinds of things that you can do with this little Microbit item. But we're just going to go to New Project. And we'll give it a name. So what we're creating today is a Magic 8 Ball, so that's what I'm going to call it. And we'll click Create. And so this is the MakeCode Microbit editor. So what you see right here is a little simulation of that same item that I told you that you don't need to buy. So this little guy here, that's the same thing here. So you can use this. That's why you don't actually have to have the little card, the little toy, I guess, because we have a simulator right here. So you start off with on start and forever, and you can click on each of these and see what you want it to do. And each of this shape fits inside of this shape. And so you can see that on start, it will show number 0. So over here, it's showing the 0. So we can also change, we want it, so we have on start. Can I change that? Let's see, we can clear screen, that clears it. We can take that out. And you can see when you take something out and it's not attached, it changes color and kind of looks grayed out. You can set up music, which is actually an extra challenge that we used to do. It's a bit complicated, but feel free to play with it. You can set up the LEDs, more, radio, more, loops. So you can set up a loop so you can have something that will on start repeat 4 times showing the number 0. So you basically just have to put things together yourself and figure out how to do so. So play around with it, and remember your goal for this activity is to create something that will randomly show yes, no, or try again. So I like to do it, when it shakes, it'll do that, but you can also use these A and B buttons to have it do that. All right, so that's the challenge. What I want you to do is spend, I would say, about 20 minutes on that challenge. And if you have not accomplished it at the end of 20 minutes, there is a cheat sheet that you can look at to see the final answer. So this is just an activity for you to figure out how to do it, how you can use this Make Code Microbit. So use the challenge, think about it, and I want to just throw in one little lesson here at the end of this video that if you get to the end of that 20 minutes and this is just a mess of variables and inputs and items and nothing makes sense and you're not even close to figuring it out and you're really frustrated, that is okay. I'm not expecting everybody to be able to do this. I don't think I would be able to do this in 20 minutes because this really isn't my area. As you all know, I was an English teacher. So what I do want you to keep in mind is that when you get that feeling of frustration, when you don't know how to accomplish this goal, when you're really frustrated, I want you to remember that that is often how students feel in classes. If they're not as interested in your subject area, or if your subject area is just one that's always been a struggle for them, that might be how students are feeling sitting in your classroom. So I want you to think about and remember that feeling and take that with you so that you can have some empathy for your students that are struggling in your class later on. So now go ahead and, if you haven't already, go ahead and try to tackle that challenge. There are a couple of optional challenges. If you are one of the people that is really good at figuring out puzzles like this and coding, then feel free to go ahead with these other 3 scenarios. Each of these shows you an example of code that's not working. And so you need to figure out what the problem is in there in order to solve the problem. So those are optional challenges. If you want to complete them, you can, but you don't have to. But they are kind of fun to figure out. I actually enjoy those a little better because it's more fun for me to figure out how to solve the problem than it is to build the code itself. So that is this item 2 on our list. I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. When you're ready, go ahead and move on to part 3. And hopefully by then there will be a video there for you to see what to do. Happy learning!